I'm calling tonight's meeting of the Utility Services Board to order. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes of our previous meeting from March 30th. Is there any discussion or questions or amendments to that? And you can raise your hand by clicking on participants, and in the lower right-hand corner is a button for raise hand. Okay, seeing no discussion on that, do I hear a motion for approval of the minutes?
So move.
And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Latrina, can you call the roll, please?
Yes, okay. Amon,
Aye.
Burnham,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Aye.
Sherman,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
and Kapler.
Yes. All right, minutes are approved. Next on the agenda, approval of the claims. First up is standard invoices in the amount of $638,799.41. Are there any questions about the standard invoices? Okay, not seeing any hands raised. Do I have a motion to approve those invoices?
So move.
Second.
Latrina, please call the roll. All in favor, say aye.
Bannock,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Aye.
Sherman,
Yes.
Burnham,
Aye.
Amon,
Aye.
and Kapler.
Aye. All right, invoices are approved. Next up are utility bills in the amount of $90,345.60. Are there any questions or comments? Click raise your hand. Seeing none, do I have a motion for approval of utility bills?
So move.
Second.
Latrina, can you call the roll, please?
Burnham,
Aye.
Amon,
Aye.
Parmenter,
Aye.
Kapler,
Aye.
Bannock,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
All right, utility bills are approved. Next are wire transfers in the amount of $461,019.62. Are there any questions about wire transfers? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion for approval of wire transfers?
So move.
Second.
Latrina, please call the roll.
Kapler,
Aye.
Parmenter,
Aye.
Burnham,
Aye.
Sherman,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
and Amon.
Yes.
All right, wire transfers approved. Next up, customer refunds in the amount of $2,710.29. Are there any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve customer refunds?
So move.
Second.
All right, Latrina, please call the roll.
Amon,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
Kapler.
Yes. All right, customer refunds are approved. Next up is a special check run for our health insurance in the amount of $1,270,386. Are there any questions? All right, seeing none. Oh, I see a hand up. Amanda.
Is that for the half of a year or the full year? Or a quarter? What's the amount on that?
That's for half a year. Hi, Laura Pettit, Finance. That's for half a year. We'll see another equal amount after June.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions Okay. Then do I have a motion for approval of the special check run?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina, can you read the call or call the roll?
Bannock,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Amen,
Yes.
Sermon,
Yes.
Burnham.
Yes.
Okay, a special check run is approved. Next item is approval of the consent agenda. Vic Kelson. Oh, you gotta unmute, Vic. Press that space bar. Still can't hear you, Vic. If you just press the space bar on your keyboard and hold it down, there you go. Gotta hold it.
I was muted by the host, actually. The consent agenda is recommended for approval by staff. It has 3 items totaling $23,050. The first is to Harold Fish for $12,450 to purchase and install 3 exhaust fans. Peace Tree, $5,000 for repair and maintenance of fuel pumps and fuel systems at all the treatment plants. And Cassidy for $5,600, purchase and install a duplex control panel for the intake tower air compressors. Does any board member wish to consider any of these items separately? Hearing none, if there's no opposition, the consent agenda will be approved as recommended by staff. Hearing no opposition, these items are approved. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have a request for approval of an agreement with Reynolds Construction, and Brad Schrader is going to talk with us about that.
Hi, this is Brad Schrader with the engineering department. At the last meeting, you approved us to award the contract for the Dillman plant upgrades to Reynolds Construction, and today we bring you a contract for your approval of $23,493,700 to perform this work. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, and just raise your hand or wave at me and then unmute yourself when I call on you. Okay, no comments or questions?
Okay.
All right. Then do I have a motion for approval of this agreement with Reynolds Construction? Didn't hear you, Jim. You gotta unmute.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All right. All in favor, Latrina, can you call the roll, please?
Sure. Kepler,
Yes?
Bannock,
Yes.
Sermon,
Yes.
Sermon,
Oh,
Yes.
that's okay. Parmenter
Yes.
and Amen.
Didn't hear you, Jeff. You're still muted. You're pressing, there you go.
Yes, I did press it. I was muted by the host, just like Vic was, so whatever.
Huh,
I don't know.
okay, not sure what's up with that. Thank you. Did you finish, Latrina? I'm sorry.
Yes, that was the last one.
Okay, so that agreement is approved. Next item is request for approval of change order number 1 with Mitchell and Stark Construction. And Brad, we'll hear from you again.
Yes, hi, Brad Schrader, engineering department again. This is a change order for Mitchell and Stark, who are under a contract to replace our UV disinfection system and our non-potable water system. They've completed the work on the disinfection system, mostly completed. And the potable water system they've ran into because of the supplier is saying because of the virus delays in shipping the actual non-potable water system. This is critical as a UV system, which is working. So we are going to change the contract time from a substantial completion of April 23rd to a substantial completion of July 31st. So that's contract changes, no monetary change, just a change in the substantial completion date. I'd be happy to answer any questions about this.
Can I ask, was everybody able to hear Brad, or did that just break up a little bit on my end? You know what? I think I'm breaking up. Hang on a minute.
I can hear you fine, Gene.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
A little internet issue.
I hear you fine, if that matters.
Okay, thank you. So were there any questions for Brad on this change order? All right. Hang on a sec. All right. So then, Latrina, can you call the roll, please?
Need a motion. So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is there a motion for approval
I
of the
move.
change order?
Second.
Okay, Latrina, can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Amon,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
and Kapler.
Yes. All right. Then that change order is approved. Next item is request for approval of agreement with Smith, Prehab and Associates. And Jane Fleeg is going to speak with us.
Yes, Jane Fleeg for the record. This is a request for an approval for professional services with Smith, Prehab and Associates for another one of our water main replacement projects. This would be in the Lindbergh area. Several streets in that location have 50 to 60-year-old water lines, and we want to get a design put together so that we can put out a construction contract for it. It includes Lindbergh, 15th Street, 16th Street, Hancock, 12th Street, and Fountain Drive. This is a contract in an amount not to exceed $95,850. The contract's in your packet, and I'd be happy to answer questions.
Okay, are there any questions for Jane? Just raise your hand. Okay. I am not seeing any hands raised, so is there a motion for approval of this agreement?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and Latrina, please call the roll.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Amon,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
and Bannock.
Yes.
Hey,
That's all.
can I ask, is the sound cutting out for anybody else?
No.
Because I think my internet connection here at CBU is not the greatest. Everything keeps freezing up and some of the sound keeps cutting out. Let's see if I can call in on my phone. I don't know. We'll try and get through this. All right. So it sounds like that agreement was approved. Next is request for approval of change order number 2 to an agreement with Milestone Contractors. Jane Fleeg again, please.
Yeah, again, Jane Fleeg for the this is for our Fullerton Pike Phase 2 water main and sanitary sewer relocation. This is the second change order with Milestone. The original bid called for 800 cubic yards of rock removal, which we put an allowance in the contract. It turned out that we only needed to remove 352 yards. So it's reducing the amount of rock in the contract at $50 a yard. And that amounts to $22,400 in savings to us. It also it changes the final construction completion date because the project, we had set it up on a schedule that was prior to the project schedule getting changed based on the weather and such. So it adds to the contract to bring the contract schedule up to the current date. Once we process this, they have completed all of our punch list items. We need to get our inspector out there to take a look at it, and we should be able to close out this project within the next few weeks.
Okay. Are there any questions for Jane? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion for approval?
So move.
Second.
Okay, and Latrina, can you call the roll, please?
Kepler,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Amon, Amon, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Parmenter,
yes,
Bannock.
Yes.
Okay, it sounds like that request for approval was approved. Next, we have request for approval of engineering services agreement with GRW for the North Dunn Street sewer capacity improvements. And Phil Peden is going to tell us about those.
Good evening, board members. Phil Peden here with the Engineering Department. This is for design services, and it's with GRW Engineering, and it is for the sewer improvement project beginning at North Dunn Street that will run north from there, kind of cross country, underneath the bypass and around to Lower Cascades where our interceptor sewer is. It's approximately 3,200 feet. You recently approved the MOU with IU, but just so you know that they are cost sharing on this design as a result, because it's we're doing the project so that we can handle the expected flow from their new North Housing project at 17th and Fee Lane. And so they are participating in cost sharing, and that includes the engineering fees. This contract includes most everything that you typically see except inspection. On this one specifically, we're going to have a sewer modeling, which is a little different, but then the cost estimates, the full design with plan and profiles, easements, bidding, and construction administration. So we'll be working with George Lewis again. He's been doing a great job for us on past projects. And in fact, grew up in this neighborhood and played in that stream as a child. So he's familiar with the area. And so I would ask the board to approve this, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions? Let's see. And I don't have video on most of you, so if you want to ask a question, use the raise hand function. Okay, seeing none, then do I have a motion for approval of this engineering agreement?
Second.
And Latrina, can you call the roll, please?
Bannock,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes.
Amon,
Yes.
Parmenter,
yes,
and Sherman.
Yes.
All right, that agreement is approved. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next item is request for approval of resolution 2020-05, which is a 2020 Griffey Water Plant demolition. James Hall, can you please tell us about this?
Hi, James Hall, environmental. Myself and the contractor, vet engineer, or professional engineer, went through the bids, and we were looking for discrepancies based on the difference in the bids, and we couldn't find really a big reason why the one bid was so high from EFS, other than maybe their transportation costs. And there's something that Sarah had brought up called a experience modification rate, and Geiswhite's was much lower than EFS's. So we thought maybe that was a reason why, they had some extra cost in there. But there was nothing in Guy White's quote, and it was Closton Engineers quote, that made us think that they couldn't do the work. And all the references checked out really well. And even municipalities, we had called the mayor of the town, and he was super happy with all the work they had done. So we're satisfied that they will be capable of doing the work and live up to the price that they bid.
Okay.
Any questions?
Are there any questions for James? All right, seeing none, then I would entertain a motion for approval of resolution 2020-05.
So moved.
Second.
Latrina, can you please call the roll?
Okay. Burnham,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
and Amen.
Yes.
Okay, was that everybody?
That was everybody.
Okay, so it sounds like we have approval of resolution 2020-05. Thanks very much. Now, moving on to any old business from the board. Not seeing any hands up. Any old business from staff? Okay, any new business from the board? New business from staff?
None.
Pardon? None?
None.
Okay. And I don't think we have any subcommittee reports. Is that correct, Vic? Okay. How about staff reports, Vic?
Give me just a moment. I have a.
Yeah, Vic, I think you're still muted. There you go.
As we move on through the pandemic crisis, utilities is moving pretty much humming right along, as you can see by the number of items on the agenda tonight. We are practicing social distancing in all of the departments and throughout the organization, and we've worked hard to make sure the people who can work remotely are working remotely. Today we received the masks that the city had ordered from the large mask project that has been being led by, is it the Quilters Guild, I believe, has been that project. We received 200 masks for CBU employees, and we've begun distributing them throughout the various divisions at CBU. So I don't know if anybody here will model theirs, but they seem to be very nicely made. To my knowledge, no CBU employees have tested positive for the novel coronavirus up to now. So we're doing the best we can and hanging on and doing all the things we're supposed to do and still keeping everything running. You may have seen a press release yesterday regarding a pink water event. We feed sodium permanganate at the Monroe plant. It is a pre-oxidizer that helps to control algae and some other things that are beneficial, partial disinfection and so forth. That is, if you've ever taken high school chemistry, you know that permanganate is dark purple, and if you get just a little bit in water, it turns pink. What happened is we had a system failure at the plant. We had shut the plant down because of low demand for a time, and there was a failure at the permanganate pump, and apparently water with permanganate was siphoning into the basins while the plant was down. So turned the basins pink, and we do not know yet. We haven't had any pink water calls that I know of, but we may see some pink water as we go along over the next week. It takes about a week for freshly produced water to traverse our entire distribution system. So what will happen is if you get a slug of pink water, it probably won't last very long. The permanganate is not damaging to human health or your plumbing system or anything else. So it's perfectly safe to drink. There is some advice that you not wash your laundry because you may get staining during the time that the water is pink. So it was a system failure at the plant, but it will not affect anything with human health. It's just going to be pink, possibly. We haven't had anybody call you. The third thing is that we've just begun the process of bonding for two large projects. One is the Dillman project, whose contract you just approved today. We're doing about half of that project from cash, and the other half will be bonded for. And we are planning to bond also for the Jordan River Culvert project. Since the stormwater fund is technically part of the sewer works, they will be combined into one sewer bond by the controller. The controller is working with outside bonding counsel on that, and we should be seeing some information and a proposal to you in the next few weeks or month on that. James Hall announced to us that the soil remediation work at the Dyer tank is complete. So all there is left for us to do to get our piping and valves and so forth uninstalled there. But the lead contaminated soil is now gone. That project is complete. And then the last thing is the applications for the 2020 residential stormwater grant program have closed. We have about $220,000 in requests, and I think it was 50 requests that we have this year, which is a significant increase from last year. We do need the USB to appoint a board member to sit on the review committee. Last year, Jeff Eman did it. I spoke with Jeff, and he is still interested in that, but if someone else is interested in it, I believe what he said was he would step aside. So I would like to leave that up to you all to decide who should be doing that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions for Vic? Oh, Amanda, please.
Sorry, I can't find where the raise your hand thing is.
That's fine.
So, number one, I think Jeff's a great person. So if anybody else, I don't feel like any of the board members would be opposed to having Jeff serve on that committee again. So the other thing I had a question to ask you about, I did notice there were a couple expenses on the expense payments this month regarding some technology things, and which I'm assuming that's a lot because people are working at home. I do want to make sure that we are doing everything we can and that expenses are being taken care of for any of the folks that do need to work from home. I'm assuming it is, but I just want to make sure that you guys have our full support in working through any of the kinks and trying to get people the proper equipment so that we can continue to work safely.
Thank you for that question. Yes, we have been paying for any equipment that we need to have employees work remotely who didn't have computers. The system that the city has set up allows you to run the computer that's sitting on your desk from home through a web browser, which is pretty neat. That system, so all you need is a web browser. And we ended up with, I think, 6 employees that did not have access to a computer at home. What we were able to do is purchase 6 Chromebooks, which are just basically a web browser and a laptop. Those Chromebooks will be repurposed when all of this is over as training workstations for our in-house training programs. One of the problems we do have when we try to do in-house training is we just don't have enough laptops for everyone. So, so we will repurpose these for that when we're done. So it's not like we're only buying them for the COVID thing. We're actually going to continue to use them. Chris, do we need someone to officially vote on the board appointment to the committee?
I'm going to say that it wouldn't hurt to have a vote to appoint.
Let me just say a word prior. If you're not familiar with this program, this is where we give small grants up to, oh gosh, what was it last year? I don't know, 5,000 or 10,000 cost sharing to homeowners primarily that had issues with drainage, with water runoff going through their yards essentially, and anything ranging from a culvert issue to more sheet flow across portions of their yard. Some had a culvert coming out from the side of the hill on one side of their yard, and they in the high water events they just have their yard flooded. It was a really good opportunity to understand all of the problems that homeowners face in terms of managing stormwater at a small scale. So I learned a lot. I'm willing to do it, but I'm certainly, since it's such a good opportunity to learn, I'm certainly willing to step aside and let someone else do that this year. I guess willing to do it one more year, and then I'd encourage someone else to take it over, but certainly willing to step aside for this year.
So it sounds like we do need to take a vote on this. Is that something we can vote on at this meeting since it's not on the agenda? Or do we put that on the agenda for the next meeting? Chris?
Let's have as much discussion as you wish, but let's go ahead and have the vote next time around since it's not part of this agenda.
Okay. So any other discussion on Jeff being part of this committee? Or, no? Okay, so I guess we'll take a vote on that next time. Oh, Amanda, were you going to say something? No? Okay. All right. Any other questions or follow up with Vic from staff reports? Okay. And then petitions and communications from the public Latrina, is that being done through Facebook Live, or are there any comments that have been turned in?
No comments from Facebook.
Okay, very good. Well then, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right, we are adjourned.